Hello, everybody. Hey, how are we doing? I'm doing a bit of an earlier stream today because I wanted to actually start kind of doing my live streams a bit earlier just to get a better sense of engagement for you guys. But let me just check and make sure. I wanted to actually. Okay, my mic is actually working. So hi, welcome to the stream. I just kind of wanted to lay back a little bit for this stream. I wanted it to be very chill, nothing too extreme. So as I mentioned before, as you can probably tell by the title, this is going to be at the very least a mental health Q&A. I've been feeling kind of weird today, so I wanted to just kind of, I wanted to do a mental health Q&A just to kind of get my mind off stuff. And, on top of that, I might just be playing some Doom Eternal for you guys because, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I've been so hooked on Doom Eternal. I actually finished my first playthrough of the game the other day, and I plan to play through the whole game for you guys on stream at some point, but if we do end up playing Doom Eternal tonight, or not really tonight, it's evening, but if we do end up playing it, then I actually plan to work on doing a 100% run of the save file that I finished. Right now I've been working to upgrade my super shotgun and such, but for right now I'm just wanting to do a mental health Q&A section of things. So if you guys have any mental health related questions that you guys want to shoot my way, feel free to, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Yeah, just whatever you guys got. Let's see. I haven't played Doom Eternal yet, but you have the original one a year ago. Okay. Yeah. How's quarantine going, and how has it affected you in good and bad ways? Okay, so for me personally, I'm not that worried about the coronavirus. I'm really not. I genuinely am not concerned about it. For myself, at least, for a lot of family members. If I do have any concerns, it's quite literally centered around those that I love, which most of the people that I am very, very close with are awfully young, so they're not at as much of a risk. However, the more enjoyable part of this has actually been being off of school. I have been off of school for a month now, and we just got called out again until April 24th. We got called out on the 24th again. So by the time if I do come back April 24th, I would literally have been off for an entire summer's break worth. So it's crazy. It is honestly so crazy, and I honestly doubt we're going to actually be coming back to school. I think it's honestly just going to be like we're kind of done. Really, I got out for the whole year. Well, that's kind of how mine's looking from the looks of things, because if we've been off for like 2 months, we got a mental health question. All right. My father died a couple months ago. Obviously, this has depressed me. What is your best advice to get through this? So, some of the most complicated situations you can find yourself in with a lot of depressive bouts is through the loss of a loved one. These are the types of situations that happen that can put the most mental strain on a person. It's the one that in a lot of situations, a lot of people don't know how to properly work through it first because there's all the different grieving stages that they have to fight through. Whether they know that they're having to go through that or not, that's kind of a different phase that they're going through. At the end of the day, a big part of being able to overcome the grieving process, because the grieving process is essentially the main process of working yourself through the loss. The grieving process is naturally just something that you go through. So in going through that process, you're already doing something. But of course, you want to be able to have that one source that does be able to, you want to be able to have something that makes the process easier, because going through that process isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world. There's a lot of pain involved in it, just a lot of mental strain. So I think a big part of it is being able to For me, I can't. This isn't something that I can relate to. I tend to do a really good job if situations are something that I can relate to. But I have personally only lost like 2 family members that I knew pretty well in my life, within the 16 years that I've been here. But the biggest thing about it is really just being able to remember the good times that you had with your lost one, and especially I can imagine with it being your father, there's a lot to take in there. And another good thing about it is just realizing what you had, just being able to cherish what you had. And the thing is, in some cases, to some people, that might not necessarily be the best thing in the world, because it's, you're reminding yourself more and more of what's no longer there, what can no longer be made in terms of memories. But I think the reason that a topic like this, as common as it is, the reason it's so difficult is because everyone's grieving process is different. For me, I personally found that just being able to remember all the good things about the person who's passed, there's a lot that helps a lot in the long run. And even if there is a bit of pain involved, I feel like no matter how you try to go about the grieving process, no matter how much you try to really numbify it, there's always going to be some pain involved. But it comes to a point where you need to, you want to be able to get to a point with adjusting to your grieving process to the point where it's painful, but you're really getting something out of it. You don't just go through this painful process and think to yourself, it's just going to get worse. That's what you want to stay away from. So ultimately, that's my advice. But the big troublesome part of this whole thing is just knowing that there's a lot of different ways to do the grieving process. But personally, that's how I feel as if you could really go about it. That's just one of the ways. So yeah. Let's see, Jordan, how do I overcome knowing that I couldn't ask my crush out because school is closed probably for the rest of the year and I don't her number? Okay. If there's any other piece of contact you got with her, maybe go with that. If you don't, overcoming it is just knowing that when you see her again, you can ask her. I know that one was a bit more jokey, but I kind of wanted to incorporate it. I was already reading it as it was. I didn't read the end when I started reading it. So, that was, yeah. Let's see here. What else we got? Let's see. Is there... Let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good one here. I realized my mic was muted just a second ago. How long was it actually muted for? Let's see. The year, and I don't hear. Okay, no, it was fine. Let's see. Jordan, I don't have a question, but I just want to tell you you're one of my favorite YouTubers, and I watch your videos when I'm sad. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I've said this so much before, but just making people happy, and this even goes outside of YouTube, but just making people happy is my number one thing that I want to do in life. If I don't end up becoming a therapist, I really just want to do something that involves me helping people in some way, shape, or form, even if it's like a side thing. I just want to help people, man. Helping people is very, very important to me. Let's see here. My parents are worried about my grades and such and why I'm bad all day, but I've gotten way too good at hiding things and lying, so I can't just tell them anything anymore. I will tell you this, brother. I've been in a situation just like yours, and most of mine was due to the anxiety of how they would feel. I don't know if that's your situation, but I think a big part of it for me, especially when I was when I was trying to work my way back up into that trust building, A big part of it was being able to kind of just put more of the fact that I'm bettering myself into actions rather than words. You hear this a lot, but actions speak louder than words really does work in that situation, especially if you're so far gone into a situation of lying to the point where a lot of trust verbally will not be made. Naturally, if you're able to have your actions speak louder than what your words could to them, that will do a lot more for you in the long run, just as a whole. So that's kind of my advice on it. But let's see here. Ooh. Jordan, I struggle with self-loathing. Is there any sort of advice you can give me? Oh man. Oh God, I don't actually know too much about a lot of self-loathing stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I really got much on that as of right now. Let's see here. Ayo, Jordan, my stream kind of died. DP, yeah, guys. DP was streaming when I started streaming. I was practically rating a stream, so that was fun. Let's see. Question. I've been thinking of trying to tell my parents that I think I need help for my anxiety. I'm not diagnosed, and I've told them that I think I need help, and they just ignored me. Well, situations like these are one of the situations that really boil my blood when a lot of parents just kind of dismiss this kind of stuff. I think the best thing that you can do, first of all, I want you to keep in mind, I'm very glad that you pointed out that you're not diagnosed. And I mainly say that because if you guys have been hearing about the whole Trisha Paytas DID situation, you may or may not have heard about that. But as someone who's very, very big into the mental health community, especially for a mental health awareness topic such as DID, which is so controversial, she made a really big thing out of it. But that's getting a bit off. That's getting a bit off topic. Anyways, I think a big part of it is, so you're obviously in a situation where getting that process of getting help for your anxiety professionally obviously isn't really, it's not completely out of the question from the sounds of things. The first thing I will say is that if you have any other outlet or any other person to try and go to that can possibly get you some connections with a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatever it may be, whatever you need, I would suggest a therapist first before jumping to the conclusion of meds. I definitely think whoever you can maybe find that will assist you in being able to seek for a professional help that isn't from your parents, who I guess obviously weren't listening as much, then you go to them, and hopefully they can get you set up. But worst case scenario, you don't have anyone who's really, really there backing you up and really willing to get you into that professional help. If you are in a situation like this, and I can speak from this as someone who struggles but is not diagnosed, just really, really try and find yourself some self-care outlets. I think self-care is one of the biggest things that even if you're not struggling, a lot of people should be doing. A lot of people should be doing self-care, not to a point where it's distracting them from day-to-day life and it could almost be used as an excuse for missing out on appropriate things that need to be done, but just enough self-care to the point where you're not stressing over everything. You gotta be doing a lot of that. And I feel like given that stress and anxiety they go very hand in hand, self-care is very important. Some methods of self-care is just, for me, the biggest method of self-care is doing what I love the most. And for me, there's a couple different things that I do. Most of it revolves around my passions, some minor, some more major. Literally, to give you an example, I am doing this stream right now as self-care. I'm not even joking. Like I said, I've today's been kind of a weird day for me mentally, and I wanted to do this stream just to be able to interact with you guys, have someone to talk to, because I think a big part of why I've been feeling the way I have today is because loneliness. I don't deal with loneliness well personally, but this stream alone is literally something I'm doing as a source of self-care. But on top of that, I also do have a pretty big passion for doing just kind of not really serious, but just semi-serious music stuff. I do a bit of music myself that I never release as actual projects, but I've actually been planning to. I've been wanting to maybe do that, but I just don't feel like I'm experienced enough in the art yet. But a lot of the stuff that I do is more ambient. I don't really do full-on like rap or metal. I don't do anything like that. I experiment with some metal, but most of the stuff that I actually put a lot of thought into is a lot of ambient music. But a bit off topic again. Got to stop doing that. Yeah, just a lot of stuff about your passions. Really try and connect yourself to that and strive to do that. And especially with a situation like anxiety or stress. Anxiety is a big one, though. Trying to get your mind off of it with something that you love and you really enjoy is very, very important. So that is kind of my way of looking at it. But yeah, let's see what else we got down here. Let's see here. Okay, Jordan. Okay, wait, let's see here. Jordan, my friend has been seriously struggling with suicidal thoughts, and he says he goes into some bad thoughts sometimes. Can you tell me something that I can do to help? Now, as I do say in a lot of these situations, especially, I say this all the time in situations of when someone asks me, what they can do to help out someone in need. The first thing that I like to get off right off the bat to really give them the assurance when going into this question is you're doing a wonderful thing by wanting to help them. I seriously mean that. You are doing a wonderful thing, and I absolutely, I am in full promotion of wanting to help out other people like that. And, especially if it's a close friend of yours, that's very important. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. You're doing a really good thing for wanting to help them. The biggest thing, especially for when they are in such a deep area as when they get to a suicidal point, you want to be able to. Oh wait, hold on. Let's see here. Hold up. Very sorry, guys. I had to let my fellow cat Bob out of my room. But anyways, so basically when it comes to when you have a friend and that you're wanting to help and they're in such a deep point to where they are having suicidal thoughts, one of the biggest things that I think, and as cliche as this might sound, there's really a lot of genuine truth in this. The first thing you want to do before anything isn't you don't want to shove down their throats any ideas of, oh, they should get help from this source. That is something that with time, as they're kind of in that middle ground, that's when they're in that kind of middle ground of healing, that's probably when that could kick in. Or if worst case scenario, just they aren't willing to listen to anyone, and their mindset isn't changing, that's when they would maybe want to do that. However, if they are in a situation, and if this hopefully works, which I'm hoping it does for your situation, the biggest thing that you can do is assure them of their worth. Assure them of why they should be here right now, why they have a purpose for being here. And obviously they do definitely have a purpose. And, if you really struggle with ways of how you could word it, because I understand some people are better at wording this kind of stuff than others. Some people aren't as good with handling these situations. The biggest thing that you should be able to tell them is that there's a lot of goals that they can accomplish, and there's a lot of things that in life that they really can be, like, that they really could be experiencing, that if they let themselves out now, they'll be missing out on so much. And I think the biggest thing for me that I'd want to state is reminding them of the impact that their death would have on people that love them so much. That is, I don't want to get too deep in my own personal life, but that was when I was in a really dark place such as that was the main thing that stopped me from being pushed over the edge. So, being able to give them that reassurance first is one of the biggest things that you should do right off the bat. And then the big second thing that you should be doing is assuring them of how much that you care for them. As, you to them. You should be assuring them of how much that you care about, them and, their healing process, and that you're willing to be there for them. Because from the sounds of things, it does sound like you are willing to be there for them, no matter what the cost is. It's important that you let them know that, and just let it be strong in letting them know that. Just really let it out. Really let the sentimental feelings out. And then if they are really starting to get a healing process going, maybe you can get them into some professional health, and if there's any medications that's needed, maybe find them a psychiatrist, whatever it be. So there's really a step process with it, but at the end of the day, a big part of it is really just, step one, helping them reassure that they have worth, they have a reason to be here, and the next thing is, being able to assure them that you're always going to be there for them. And then that's kind of the point where you can make those really big leaps that'll probably make a lot bigger impacts, hopefully. But yeah, that's essentially the process that goes about it. That's kind of the, let's see, if I can, there was one that I found, at Jordan. All right. How would you recommend dealing with being separated from loved ones during times like these? Even though I can text him, it kind of gets to me that I probably won't see him for a few months. Okay, there's a very big reason that I picked this one. To be honest with you, brother, I'm honestly in I'm in a predicament with that myself. I actually just had a friend of mine, if any of you guys remember Hannah, I don't know how many of you guys came or here that were in the stream where Hannah kind of chimed in, buddy pal of mine. She may be watching this stream, and if you are, hi, how you doing? But yeah, we were supposed to have plans today, but unfortunately, due to some concerns that her parents had about coronavirus, just out of worry, we weren't able to properly set it up. So that's kind of the sucky thing about it all. There is quite a bit of separation going on, but again, I think another big thing with this is being able to have something to distract you. Now, as someone who's been trying to be a lot more extroverted within the last few years of my life, I kind of, the whole coronavirus situation does kind of put a hindrance on things. Now, I am not in a state where we are in lockdown. I don't have a lockdown situation going on right now. However, of course, like I said, there are still, when it comes to certain people that I want to hang out with, there could be these hindrances of not being able to do it because of worries of the coronavirus itself, just in general. Because we do have cases here in Tennessee. In fact, in my actual county that I live in, there is someone with the coronavirus. So who knows? But I think a big part of it is being able to distract yourself with certain things that you enjoy. It's kind of similar to the self-care thing. I think that's a big important thing. For me, the biggest thing, especially within these last 6 days, dude, I've just been playing Doom Eternal. I'm gonna be real with you, dude. I put so many hours into that game, and it's been a pretty good distraction. But Understandably enough, it's not a 100% solve, it solves everything type solution. There'll still be points where you're just kind of like, all right, I need to kind of take a step back. But, I actually, for me, even though I was kind of like, hey, let's go, I've had a month off of school and now I just got called out for another month. That is cool and everything, but also a lot of where my social life comes from is when I'm at school. So there is a bit of a hindrance that's put on from that. But, I think the biggest thing is kind of, circling back to that self-care thing. And the self-care is a bit different. The reasoning behind why you do the self-care with this whole quarantine thing is a bit different from, kind of self-medicating your anxiety. It's different in the sense that doing it with the quarantine is more of a distraction, while the anxiety is more of it is in a sense also a distraction, but it's also just kind of a healing thing, a slow healing thing, just letting it soothe out a bit, while the quarantine thing's literally just distracting you from the, just the concerns that you have, with everything kind of going out and about. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, at Jordan, my parents are divorcing and I want to stay with my dad. My dad really helps me with my day-to-day life, but my mom does not. She won't let me go with my dad. Please, Jordan, how can I convince her? Okay. So, in a situation like this, one of the most difficult and, just truthful things is that as the child, there is really not a lot of power that you have over a situation like this, which is heartbreaking. It really is. And just thinking about your situation, it breaks my heart. But I think a big thing is if you can get any reassurance to your mom that there's a lot of better off things that you would be able to do with your dad in living with him, really, really just do anything you can. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a trade. There's a way that I kind of look at this, right? Now, I don't necessarily know, there's not enough context for me to know what the entire backstory behind your mom is that would make it so that, if you were to live with your mom, there would be such a difference in your quality of life than with your dad. Now, just kind of going off of that basic idea, though, that your dad does and he does kind of improve the quality of life. If that really does show within, if you do end up having to live with your mother and that does truly show within the time you spend with her, hopefully there will be some outside family members that can help take into action a official, just concrete decision to move you over with your dad. And I can't 100% relate to the situation myself. I dealt with the situation with this all the way dating back to when I was only a year old. But you can kind of see where the issue is there. I was a year old, it's not like I was going to be able to do anything. I was a little tiny infant. So, at the end of the day, I think, the first thing you can do is really try and get that convincing out through your mom. And understandably, she's going to be very stubborn about it, possibly because she really wants to keep you. And, she may feel as if you're in some type of danger, but understandably, you may not be. And, there may be genuine quality of life changes that she isn't able to provide if you were to be living in her environment. So yeah, that's kind of my way of looking at it. I understand that it may not be 100% as, helpful as you probably would help for it to be. And, just reading your message, it really does seem like there's an act of desperation out of it. Just know that there's a process that can be done. If it's a situation where you've got the first situation where it's either the first process where it's either you live with your mom or you live with your dad, and if you live with your dad, boom, hey, good, you're in the solution area, but you've kind of solved the solution. But then you have the situation where if you end up living with your mom, and then from there, her actions could be where, if anything legal needs to be taken into place, where you're better off living with your dad, that can be taken into account. But just know I heavily sympathize for your situation. It's one that for me hits a bit close to home, even if I didn't have to really have a thought out process for it when I was younger, but it does hit close to home. So, yeah, just don't, that's kind of my way of thinking about it. Let's see. All right, what do we got here? Trying to find it. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good one here. I am trying to find a good one to work with here. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? My thoughts are okay right now. They're okay to say the least. Let's see. Okay, here's one. My mental state is in a really bad place right now, and I'm on the verge of cutting myself. What should I do? Ooh, boy. Again, another one that hits kind of close to home. So obviously this one is a bit different from maybe situations like the one that I covered a little bit ago about the suicidal thoughts, because this one isn't pushed into as deep of a just deadly, like a fatal mindset. But there's a lot of, I think they're a big part of preventing yourself from self-harm, preventing yourself from any type of self-harm is, for me, a big part of it when I was dealing with it was anytime that I would think of going back to it, the first thing that I would think about as a way to keep me from doing it was a guilt factor. And what I mean by that is that I bring myself to a reminder of the guilt that I may have in the future when all is said and done. Say I'm in a situation where I actually start to get a ton better, which would hopefully be the case. And, that's all great and everything. But then there's also the issue of if I did self-harm somewhere in between that, there's the problematic situation where during my healing process, I have this scar. Maybe it's not a scar, but I have this wound or scar on my body, or just any type, whatever the type of self-harm is, any damage done to myself that is a reminder, a constant reminder of the point I was at. And for some people at first, this could genuinely just be something that could spiral them back into their place. And while I still have visible marks now from 2 years ago, I think a big thing for me is I've come to terms realizing that it's a relic, it's a part of my past, but it doesn't define me. I look at a lot of what is still there now as a reminder of something that I've overcome, something difficult, something so straining that I've overcome. And for a lot of people who are just starting to recover, though, that's not going to be the mindset. They're really going to be slowly working their way back up. And the moment that they even just maybe take a glance at the damage that they've done to themselves prior, when they were in a dark, dark place before, that can set them off again. That can spiral them back to where they were. So, if you're really in this place where you're really ready to make a change and just better yourself and really be able to just start growing yourself back into a strong, mentally strong person, you don't want those self-harm marks there to be able to hinder your process. You don't want something to be there that'll hinder your process potentially within the blink of an eye. Sure, for me now, yeah, it's something that actually empowers me, but you have to do a lot of ignoring of that before you can be able to get to the mindset that I have now. And you don't want to have to be able to, there should be no reason that you have to do that. So at the end of the day, what's the best thing that you can do to prevent that from happening in the first place? Not self-harming. That's really just that's what it comes to at the bottom line. So even if thinking of the guilt behind it that may come from it is a harsh response, it really is it's a strong response that makes a huge difference. Honestly, that's really how it goes. And for me, that's what personally did it. That guilt factor is what changed everything for me. So yeah, that's kind of how that question goes about. All right. Ooh, we got a question from Phil. All right, Phil. All right, what do you got? I've been told all my life that people drink to forget. Never really understood how that works. I want to forget about COVID-19. I mean, it's very hard to forget about that. But there is some truth to that, honestly. And I think the whole mentality of drinking to forget, it kind of applies to a almost very specific demographic of those who struggle. Or those, actually not those who struggle, but more or less those who struggle with mental illness. No, it's not even that. Hold on, Jordan, get your words together. It's not even just about between the people who struggle with mental illness. It's more as the collective people who drink in general. Because you have the set of people who maybe drink because they want to party. Maybe you have that other set of people who just do the occasional drink for maybe, they do it for special occasions. But then you also have this almost stereotyped group of drinkers who center around from drinking because of their issues that they deal with. Most commonly depression. In a lot of these cases, it's oftentimes not done with anxiety. That's anxieties a lot of times, if there's a substance abuse that's more connected with it, it's of something that does actually help them, but they overuse it. But in this case, it's a lot of, with the drinking to forget mentality, since there's a lot of, obviously judgment's your first thing to go with. Your sense of judgment's the first thing to go with any drinking that you do. But I think once you start to get to a point where by the time that you end up sobering back up, you don't even remember what had happened during your time of being in your very non-sober phase. That is, in a way, sort of true. Because I think for a lot of people, the whole drinking to forget mentality comes more from they're trying to drink to forget all the stuff that they're already going through. But truthfully, the things that they're going to be forgetting are just the things that are numbing their pain. They're literally forgetting what actually is helping them. So at the end of the day, they're kind of losing. They're kind of losing in the situation. The drinking to forget mentality is one that I never really 100% understood, because, like I said, it's said in a way that you drink to forget all the pain you're going through, but you don't forget everything prior to you getting drunk. You forget everything, you forget everything during your process of being drunk. That's quite literally how it goes. So I think that mentality, in a way, while just as a whole, it's not a good mentality to really keep up with. It's also one that just kind of doesn't work in general. So that's kind of my way of, really looking at it. Let's see here. Let's see here. I have got to find one. Tuta, tuta. All right, let's see here. I am trying to find the good one to do. This is a nice thing. Jordan, usually I don't really join the mental health stream, mostly just because I don't have any mental health problems. But now that I'm here, it's actually a really nice place to be, and I actually do enjoy, trying to help others. That's great. Helping others is really, I think, us as human beings, it's a very instinctive thing that we want to do. And I mean, I feel like at some point, even if it's not your main focus, and even if it's something that you do rarely, it's just part of human nature at some point to really try and help people, because, it's, in a way, even if we do have political issues of, a bunch of people rioting against each other, even if we have our own personal people that we hate, the goal at the end of the day for where we are is to really just kind of work as a team, which isn't 100% how things have played out, especially within just through generations and generations. But at the end of the day, a big example of, working together is with family, the people who are being able to let you be here, the people who are creating you. So, that's kind of my big thing about it. Let's see here. But yeah, that is an absolutely really sweet thing, and I'm really glad that you're getting enjoyment out of it, because these are some of my favorite types of streams to do, just ones where I talk to you guys and really try to help you guys out, because I understand the world is a cruel place sometimes, and it sucks, but that's why I am so passionate about being able to help people through those rough times in the world when it is not so good. Especially in times like right now where we've got global pandemics going on. So, it's kind of how it goes. At Jordan, I have anger issues, and due to me yelling at my friends, I have lost some of them. I feel as if my anger side takes over my mind, and I feel like I lose control of myself. What should I do? So, the big thing about a lot of anger issue things is... The big recommendation that I have first-handedly, and this connects to self-care, trust me, with most things that I do in being able to solve a solution of someone's state of mind being kind of weird and they need some type of solution for it. One of the biggest things, stating right off the bat, is just self-care. Self-care is so important, but of course with adapting to different situations, whether it's depression, whether it's anger issues, whether it's anxiety, whatever it may be, there's different types of self-cares that are going to work more than others, and some are more intertwined. But I find as if anger issues are actually they're more their own thing. It's not like how depression and anxiety ones or stress and anxiety ones have their own connection, their own type of self-care connections that kind of work. With anger issues, they work slightly differently, but if they are going to be connected to any type of issue, anger issues are most commonly connected with stress relievers. Mainly because a lot of anger in and of itself stems from the stress that comes from our day-to-day life. It overwhelms us to the point where we lash out. And for some people, those levels of stress rise quicker than others, which is what stems from anger issues. So that's kind of how that goes. But I think a big part of it is in a situation like anger, it's really good to be able to have something near you to let out your anger in a way that you probably would do to these people that you express your anger issues out on normally. But this isn't, what you're expressing it out on for your self-care isn't something that directly harms anyone, like talking like that way to a human being. Now, one of the biggest things first-handedly that you could mention is a stress ball, because naturally, you're feeling just tightened up. Your blood's really boiling. So naturally, one thing you're going to want to do for some people, you're wanting to punch something, you're wanting to hit something. So if you have like some kind of punching bag that you may have around, if you want to go to the gym to use a punching bag, you could probably do that. And just let your anger out on that. If you have like a stress ball, even just something as simple as a stress ball that you can just squeeze, which for me, I think would have been a go-to if I ever had anger issues. But even if you have something as simple as that, it just, it kind of works. And, distracting yourself is kind of a harder mentality with this, because oftentimes with anger issues, specifically not stress, because like I said, stress is kind of intertwined with anger. Anger issues specifically very much, they kind of overflow the mind, and they, if you ever try to do something that distracts it, like similar to how a lot of self-care stuff works for anxiety and depression, it just doesn't really work as well, because your thoughts are so overflowed with all the stress that's coming in that later leads to all the anger issues that you're dealing with. So I think a lot of times the biggest thing that you can do is having something to let your anger out in. But also, it's important to keep in mind that if you have someone to let your feelings out to, that you won't just lash out at, someone that you're able to let out why you reacted so quickly in the way that you did. If you have something that lets you do that, that's very, very important. But also, just worst case scenario, it could be connected to some possible disorder. And if it really does come down to that, which that should be a last resort thing that you assume of it, then you can always talk to your any psychiatrist around that you can get in contact with, and if they find anything with you, they can maybe get you hooked up with some medication, and hopefully it will help. So yeah, that's kind of my advice on that. That was, I love answering these questions so much, dude. I'm getting so much joy out of this. I'm feeling a lot better. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's see if I find a pretty good one here. Ayo, Jordo, it's your boy Garrett. Just wanted to pop in and say I appreciate what you're doing here. It makes me happy. I know ya. And yes, I still think you've got to be. Oh, Garrett, you're a homie. You're an absolute homie. I love you, dude. I love you so much. That's one of my homies, guys. Garrett, you're a real one. You're a real one. Just know that. I don't know if you're still watching the stream or not, but you're an absolute real one, dude. For real. Let's see here. I want to see if I can find me a good one. Sometimes it's hard to scroll through a lot of the joke ones. You're going to have those people, but I just got to scroll through it. I have a DM on Discord. There we go. I'm just going to answer that real quick. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, do. Let's see here. I gotta find me a good one. I'm having trouble. Let's see here. I'm gonna try and speak with my closest friend. I hope all of you guys here with problems get to the road to recovery. Yeah, that's very, very important. Everyone should be striving out for that. And if you're already someone who's recovered, it's very important that you keep yourself. Self-care is very important. I've said that so many times in this stream, but seriously, I mean it so much. Even if you're not struggling right now, guys, allow yourself to do self-care. Like, I'm dead serious on that. Self-care is so important for any person. If you're someone who's already struggling, it's a good way to allow yourself to, get a road to recovery going. And if you're not someone that struggles, it's a good way to not let yourself spiral down into the deep depths of depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. So, yes, that is very, very important. I'm glad that you said that. It's very, very nice. Let's see here. do. Dr. Coomer is cool. I do highly recommend that you stick with the people who do care about you. Yes, that is very, very important. Being able to, the biggest people, if you're not going to be seeking a professional, I think one of the biggest things that you can do is, allowing yourself to be surrounded around the people who you are closest with, because they're the people who understand you the most. And in some cases, that's why a lot of people who don't go to professionals are still able to give themselves some healing, because naturally with a therapist, it takes time to build that relationship with them. With a psychiatrist, it takes time to build that relationship with them. But if you have someone who's close with you, like a family member, a close friend of yours, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, you can really, they already know you. They know you as a person. That beginning phase of having them, having to learn about this therapist or this psychiatrist, you don't have to worry about that phase. Because for some people that's kind of the hard part of therapy. So yes, that is very, very important, and I'm glad that you pointed that out. There we go. How do I get rid of jealousy? Ooh, okay. All right. This is something that I've struggled with a lot. Oh boy. All right. This is something that I feel like really does need to be brought up about. I think when it comes to jealousy, now jealousy takes on different forms. It kind of comes and goes in different ways. And I think a big thing about jealousy is, you have the different phases of it where maybe you want to be like, maybe there's someone that you want to be like, that. I'm sorry. I got distracted by something. I'm sorry. Maybe there's something that, maybe there's someone that you want to be like, that, you really, you just really want to strive to be this person, and, you never feel like you can ever get there. And when it comes to situations like those, the big thing that you need to be able to, focus on is being your truest self, and not, you should never want to be like someone else. You're going to be similar to someone in the world. There's like 7 billion people in the world. You're going to be similar to someone, but you are never going to be exactly like them, no matter how hard you strive for that. And you should always learn to just be yourself. You are your own unique person. Everyone is unique in their own way. We all have similarities, but I genuinely think it's very important to keep in mind that you need to be your absolute truest self, through everything. Yeah, that's the big thing to keep in mind for at least that type of jealousy. But obviously you do have situations like if you're jealous because there's someone in a situation that you're not in. Now, I found myself in that type of situation because any type of jealousy that I personally have dealt with is relationship jealousy, which is essentially a situation, or I kind of dub it as that, but you know, in a sense, I think the big thing with a lot of relationship jealousy, and that could be taken in multiple different ways, mind you. That's kind of in a situation where people are in this high state of being, like they're in a situation that they're happy with that you're not yet at. If they're in a situation like that, the big important thing to really keep in mind is that you will get there someday. You will get to that point that they want to be in. But even then, if it's not a dire situation, like maybe if it's a situation like there's a certain happiness level that they're at right now that you're not at because of some hindrance in your life, hey, listen, that's a different story. But if it's an emotion thing, you're gonna get to that high point in your life. You're gonna get back up to where you need to be at some point eventually, whether you realize it or not. But if it's something like a romantic relationship thing, you're also going to get back to that point at some point too. It all takes time, you really got to take that time going for it. And you can't let yourself get too distracted by the point that other people are at, that you're not yet at, because trust me, you will at some point get to that point. And that's what I think is, very most important. So, that is very big, thing to keep in mind. But, guys, as abrupt as this might sound, I'm going to go ahead and end off the stream. For the most part, I actually just did this stream as a huge therapeutic thing. However, like I said, I did say maybe playing some Doom Eternal tonight, but I'm not going to be doing that. But I will, if I have the time, I will try and squeeze in around this time tomorrow. Maybe I'll try and squeeze in a Doom Eternal stream for you guys. Maybe try and collect the secrets, or doing the save file I'm on right now on a higher difficulty, just kind of seeing what I can do. But thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream. Like I said, streams like this one specifically are very, very therapeutic for me. I did this one specifically for therapeutic purposes. So thank you guys so much for all the support. I seriously cannot express enough how much it means to me. I'm such a train wreck when it comes to YouTube schedules, but I really give it my best. I really try to give it my best, with everything that I do on this channel. So thank you all so much for allowing me to have a platform to do something like this. It means everything to me. So, bye-bye, Jordo Bordo. Bye-bye, DP. Hopefully you got your stream back up and running. I don't know if you did. I assume you didn't, but, yeah, guys, I will see you in hopefully a stream tomorrow or sometime soon. We will pick Doom Eternal back up, and maybe we'll do another mental health Q&A stream soon, hopefully. But remember, for all of you to take care of yourselves. It's very, very important, take care of yourselves mentally and also physically. Wash your hands, because coronavirus is going around and everything, but take care of yourselves in every way, physically and mentally, whatever it may be. You all matter so much, and you guys are very, very important, and you have a purpose for being here. Never forget that. And that's the message that I want you to take away from this stream ultimately. So, bye-bye, guys. Hope you have a nice night.